Marhaba, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. I'm Joe Pratt, keeping you informed of what's happening in the world. Happy birthday to those of you born on this date. You share a birthday with Alexander Cartwright, the inventor of baseball, J.P. Morgan, Thornton Wilder, American broadcaster Harry Reasoner, and Jennifer Garner. In the Israel Hamas war, which now seems to include Iran, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron says Israel is making a decision to act. In response to Iran's attack last weekend, and Iran's president has warned that the tiniest invasion by Israel would bring a massive and harsh response. Russia-Ukraine. Russia launched 3 missiles that hit the downtown part of a Ukrainian city called Chernihiv, killing at least 17 people and wounding 61 others, including some children. Through the winter months, Russia made no significant advance in the war, but now seems to be ramping up now that spring is here. I know it's hard to keep track of all the places in the world having conflict, but Myanmar had a coup, a military takeover in 2021, and put the former president in prison. There has been protests and public unrest ever since. Right now, it's the worst that it's ever been. Columbia University's president, Nemat Shafik, admits there is anti-Semitism at their university, but she is handling it differently. You remember that 2 university presidents resigned over the pressure to denounce anti-Semitism. Well, Ms. Shafik appeared before the same congressional committee and denounced anti-Semitism. She said, quote, "Anti-Semitism has no place on our campus, and I am personally committed to doing everything I can to confront it directly," unquote. She says that anti-Semitism is far from pervasive and said the campus is mostly split over political differences. As jury selection continues in the Trump Stormy Daniels trial, they now have 7 jurors that have been chosen. 11 more need to be picked before they can begin. They quizzed the prospective jurors on social media posts, political views, and their personal lives. And I personally don't believe in looking at polls that state how people believe in the guilt or innocence of a person before a trial begins, because I think it only reflects the bias of media coverage. But since I have promised to keep you informed of what's going on in the world, I guess I'd better mention that an AP NORC poll shows that 1 in 3 Americans believe Trump acted illegally. 2 in 3 believe he did not act illegally. President Biden is calling for a tripling of tariffs on Chinese steel as he addressed the union steel workers in Pennsylvania. Elon Musk will be asking shareholders to move Tesla's corporate headquarters from Delaware to Texas and to reinstate his compensation package. That's because a Delaware judge sided with a shareholder lawsuit claiming that the board of directors is not independent of Musk and that he decided on the compensation. A storm passing through the dry Middle East has dumped the most rainfall ever recorded on the United Arab Emirates, and it flooded the Dubai airport and messed up the flight schedule. More than 10 inches of rain fell in a 24-hour period. Rain also fell in Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, but it was the worst in United Arab Emirates. Chocolate lovers, brace for higher chocolate prices. The price of chocolate beans has been going up and will continue to rise in the short term. Supplies have been affected by weather, too much heat in some areas and too much wet in others. In sports, NBA play-in games were played last night. The Kings beat the Warriors 118-94, so eliminating the Warriors. Klay Thompson missed all 10 of his shots in that game. And the Lakers beat the Pelicans 110-106, so they are in the tournament for sure against the Nuggets. And the Pelicans will now play the Kings to see who gets the 8th spot. The U.S. has announced its men's basketball team for the Paris Olympics. Making the team are LeBron James, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, Anthony Edwards, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, and Kawhi Leonard. You know, the fun thing about following the NBA is that you get to see some of your favorite players playing on their country's teams, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Lauri Markkanen, and Kyrie Irving, just to name a few. The best-selling books in the U.S. this week are, in fiction, Iron Flame at number 5. Number 4 is The Fourth Wing, both of those by Rebecca Yarros. 3 is Table for Two by Amor Towles. Number 2 is last week's number 1, The Women by Kristen Hanna. And number 1 this week is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. It's a new number 1. In nonfiction, number 5 is The Wager by David Grann. 4 is Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson. 3 is The Body Keeps the Score by 4 is The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Number 2 is Age of Revolutions by Fareed Zakaria. And number 1 is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Our spotlight today is on a young woman named Taylor Clement. Taylor Clement of New Zealand. She was born with a rare disease that makes it impossible to smile. The muscles in her face are essentially paralyzed. She can move her jaw, but that's it. No eyebrow movement or forehead or upper lip or cheeks. She not only can't smile, but she can't have any facial expressions whatsoever. Now, her challenge in life is that she has been teased and bullied and made fun of mercilessly, beyond what you can imagine. Growing up, others just didn't understand. They maybe thought that she didn't like them, or so they piled on the verbal and physical abuse without mercy. She was told she was ugly and mean and worthless, and that no one wanted to be her friend. Well, Taylor battled depression and thoughts of suicide for many years. She said the only thing that kept her going was the love of her family. And she didn't tell them much about the bullying because she felt like there wasn't anything that they could do. In addition to the mean things that people would say, they would also push her into lockers and take her backpack and throw all of her things on the floor and things like that. In high school, she started to have seizures because her brain was starting to shut down, as well as her will to live. Then she discovered sports and started to excel at them. She got therapy and began to realize through the love of her family that she did have worth and she could do hard things, and in most things she was just as capable as everyone else. And she realized that the only person that can really help you is yourself. She started creating social media content around rugby and motorsports. And a professional rugby team gave her a chance by letting her interview some of the best rugby players in the world. Well, she's now a sports content creator and host, and her whole life has turned around. She told a news outlet that she is living a life she never could have dreamed of and doing a job she absolutely loves. And she says that she did not think that this level of happiness was attainable for her. It's been a long journey, and she says she's been grateful for all of it. In religion, today's quote from the sacred works comes from the Quran, from Surah Al-Falayat 9. I hope that's how you say it. Quote, "Remember when you asked the help of your Lord, and he answered you. Indeed, I will reinforce you with 1,000 from the angels, following one another." We all read dozens of headlines each week, right? And occasionally you run into a couple that just don't make sense. Well, here's one from a Mississippi newspaper. The headline reads, "Mississippi Literacy Program Shows Improvement." Mississippi Literacy Program Shows Improvement. The problem is they misspelled Mississippi, spelling it Missippi. I'm Joe Pratt. Make it a great day.